Bang! Welcome to, this is Greg Hague, the Real Estate Maverick. Recording's going now. Welcome to the best webinar in the history of real estate. And I'm not kidding you. This will be the best webinar ever in the history of real estate. I have spent 10, 12 hours putting together the absolute best of everything I have taught over the last 35 to 40 years, actually a little longer, but I don't want to really admit that. And I've called it my perfect listing presentation. And the centerpiece is an 18-step listing presentation that nobody could say no to. You absolutely, positively could not lose a listing. You couldn't. It'd be impossible. I'm going to show you how to beat family and friends. I'm going to show you how to beat Aunt Minnie. I did a boxer on that, an audio on that the other day. I mean, nobody will beat you. But I'm also going to do better than that in this webinar. In this webinar, I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about how to get indoors so you can do more of these listing presentations and win on more listings. And I'm going to tell you before I even go into the slide deck what one of my big purposes is in this webinar. Purpose number one is to show you how much amazing content I have and we have over at Real Estate Mavericks. I want to give you just a little taste of that so you can see all this 50, actually, I hate to say that, it started when I was very young in real estate, almost 50 years of success in real estate, what we're teaching and what a difference making. I want to show you that. I'm going to do that in this webinar. And I'm also, all through the webinar, going to do everything I can to get you guys to spend $297. I'm going to tell you right now, before I go into the deck, to spend $297 to enroll for my luxury home course starting May 11th. That's at luxuryhomecourse.com, luxuryhomecourse.com. That is going to be 4 sessions with me, 75-minute sessions. It is going to be the best I've ever taught. And for $297, I've never done anything for $297 ever. Not even close, with me involved personally. And what's the point of that? I'm going to tell you right now before I go into the deck today, the point of that is in that month, for those of you who spent $297, I am going to show you what our personal, that's the whole point, is to get a bunch of you who have never sampled our coaching, never seen me in action, never applied the things that I teach, for you to see the difference that will make for you at like no money. I mean, it's not going to cost anything. So that's the other purpose of this webinar, to give you a little taste. If you sign up at luxuryhomecourse.com, $297, money back guarantee. If after the first session you're not like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, then we're just going to give your money back. So here we go. We are going to rock today, and this is the perfect listing presentation with a lot of other great stuff. So here goes. This is going to be like the Harvard of how to list homes. And this next 45, 50 minutes, I am going to blast through so much content, it's crazy. I want you to just sit back. I want you to relax. Don't worry about taking notes. Don't even worry about remembering this stuff, because for every single one of you, we're going to provide the slide deck and my notes so you have everything right in front of you, because there's no way you could do this kind of stuff all at once. So you want to incorporate it over time. First thing, going to talk a little philosophy before we get into the 18 points in the perfect listing presentation. And that is, I want you to get obsessed with listings. I want you to get obsessed with listings. The list commission, the potential for buy-side commissions, community recognition, future referrals, they make listings even more important than most agents recognize. It's even more than you think. I'm going to tell you, it's worth it to make your real estate practice, to start thinking, and that's what I'm really going to try to get you to do today, a meticulously planned, a business plan that's process-driven, like this listing presentation, instead of kind of scattered, unfocused. I see so many agents that are just bouncing around, working with some buyers, listing some homes, kind of just a little of this, little of that. They don't have any definitive laser sharp business plan that they can take out and scale and hire and train other people. And I'm going to talk to you all about that today. Also, I want to implore you to maximize your time by paying others to do certain things where your time has a certain value. And believe me, in real estate, you have to recognize the value of productive time, of marketing to make the phone ring, of getting in front of sellers, to get them to say yes, of helping your buyer agents get those homes sold. Your time needs to be productive time. So a lot of the things I'm going to talk to you about today involve prep work. All that stuff you should hire other people to do. It's good for you and good for them. The bottom line is a key, and it's all right here for you, a key to winning at anything involves enormous preparation. Greater preparation leads to greater success. You know, I have this saying, what I lack in smarts, I make up for in effort. What I lack in smarts, I make up for in effort. So researching the comps and doing what I call comps that talk, the sellers, I mean, personally, what are the sellers all about before you go on the listing appointment? The history of the home. How many of you do that? How many of you know the history of the home, know about the sellers, have comps that talk when you go on listing appointments? You're going to be talking about today. Know what the sellers owe on the home. Have your personal brochure. We'll be talking about that today. This personal brochure that makes people like you and trust you before they even meet you. How many of you have that delivered along with a little personal gift that has some personal significance in your background and a handwritten note thanking people? We'll be talking about that today. But this is before you even arrive. Before you arrive on the listing appointment, I honestly believe the things that I've done before, that I developed and then implemented, that were done before I even arrived on the listing appointment, pretty much halfway got me the listing before I ever showed up and they ever met me in person. So the bottom line is, a lot of this stuff you do not want to do yourself. You want to hire and train people to do it for you. Have the confidence to invest in yourself. So and the thing is, when you help yourself, you help others. When you have the confidence in yourself to hire other people to do work at a lower cost than your hourly earning capacity, they win too. They get a job, they learn from you, that increases their value over time, so that you're doing a good thing for other people as well as for yourself. Now, as I mentioned before I started the recording, one of my friends and partners, Harvey McKay, I don't know if you know, he developed a thing called the McKay 66. And this is just a little preview. I haven't gotten into the real content yet. I just want you to see a few things. And that was introduced in his book, Swim with the Sharks, in 1988, one of the best-selling books of all times in business. And he developed what's known as the 66 customer profile, 66 questions that he wanted to know back when he was selling and getting his business started. And then what he insisted that his salespeople tried to know. They didn't get to know everything, but learn as much as they could about every one of their customers and every one of their prospective customers. That is, everybody who was dealing with another envelope company there in Minnesota. And the idea was that people do business with people who they like and trust. So I implore you to develop your own copy of the McKay 66, the things that you are going to know about home sellers before you go on the listing appointment. And then there's so much in this slide deck today, so much I'm going to cover. Take it one step at a time. The bottom line is that adding even one of these things, like the personal gift, a little personal gift with a handwritten note delivered, and I'm going to give you a sample of that here in the slide deck, delivered to home sellers prior to you arriving, just that little thing, I can't tell you what a difference it makes. Every time I arrived on a listing appointment, first thing people did was thank me. They said, gosh, Greg, that is like amazing. That is so cool. Thank you. The little backstory about the cherry butter I gave them, and I'll tell you that story in a few minutes. So that is just one little thing that anybody could incorporate. It costs almost nothing. It costs almost nothing to have somebody pre-deliver it for you, and it makes a big impact. It impresses people, it makes them like you, makes them begin to feel like they want to do business with you, and quite frankly, it sets you apart. It distinguishes you from other realtors. Also, in adding an engaging personal backstory to your presentation. This is just an example. I'm going to go into this here in the slide deck. That takes just a little bit of preparation. I'm going to, in my luxury home course, I'm going to teach, there are 7 backstory themes, and I'm going to help each of my luxury home students in my luxury home course starting May 11th. I'm going to help each of them develop their own personal backstory, fit it into one of these 7 powerful backstory themes so that they can start their listing presentation in a way, once they've done the meticulosity walkthrough, that they can start their listing presentation in a way that sellers will think, oh my gosh, that is so cool. already, I mean, this guy is amazing or this gal is amazing. So these are easy to do, like the meticulosity walkthrough. It requires very little advanced prep, just a few minutes of research about the sellers so that you can help to bond with them, find areas of commonality. So those are just a few examples. I talked about the personal gift. Those are just a few examples of things that are easy to incorporate that make a big difference. Now, before we get into my actual content, I want you to see a bigger picture. I want you to understand that the reason I'm teaching you this 18-step perfect listing presentation, the thing that enabled me to win I went one time, and I put this in, this is out in writing, I went one time when I didn't lose a listing for 6 years. I didn't lose a listing for 6 years. There were some sellers who decided not to sell. There were some sellers who we wouldn't take because they were grossly not just overpriced, but not motivated. But the bottom line is, for 6 straight years, I didn't lose, and it's right on video, I didn't lose one single listing to another agent. Why? Because my presentation was so much better than any other of the agents in my area, so much better that nobody could have said no. And that's what I want to teach you. But I want to teach it to you for today. I want to show it to you for another bigger reason, and that is, I really believe in 36 months, you're going to see a very different future in real estate. I believe it's going to involve, a large component of it is going to involve salaried realtors who work right here for technically sophisticated firms with refined processes, listing and selling and marketing processes, and home valuation process that help buyers buy and sellers sell in more efficient ways, far more efficient ways that are in use today. Now, I also think real estate firms of the future will leverage, instead of like today, where real estate firms, and so many of them, are just recruiting, more agents, and then here's our platform and here's our commission split. I believe that the powerhouse real estate firms of the future are going to be those who leverage teachable, replicable processes to list homes more efficiently, value homes more precisely, expose homes to buyers inexpensively, and help buyers purchase homes using online standardized bidding platforms. Now, here's the biggie. Here's the thing I want you to be aware of. Like, I'm developing and I'm launching this thing in July. There's nothing wrong with the salaried model. I'm introducing one in July where I'll be paying realtors from $75,000 to $125,000 annually. And I'm going to be also supporting them because I need them to be hugely productive with $4,500 a month in advertising, $4,500 a month in advertising. And they're going to have an absolute hour-by-hour, day-to-day, step-by-step work plan. 45 hours a week, here's exactly what you do. There are certain production parameters that I have that they need to meet, but they will easily meet those with the advertising support I'm going to give them. And they're going to earn from $75,000 to $125,000, probably based on our modeling, closer every one of them to $125,000. And that has a big salaried component in it. So I believe that there's a big place and a proper place for that in the future of real estate. And let me tell you why. I believe because there's going to be two basic types of realtors. There's going to be those who choose that model, which is great. A lot of security, business model pre-designed, all that stuff, advertising support. Like me, I'm spending $4,500 a month starting in July per agent in this salaried model. I mean, that's a lot of bucks. How many of you spend $4,500 a month on your own personal marketing? Maybe I believe in you more than you believe in you because I'm willing to do it with the right people I choose, in addition to paying them big fixed bucks, because I will believe in them, believe in my ability to choose the right realtors, and believe in the ability of this model where everybody has a defined, well thought through, super intelligent way to list and sell homes, that it can take everybody to the stratosphere. But then there's going to be the realtors who are the ones who hire, like me. And that's what you need to decide. I really believe, do you want to be the realtors who hire and scale? That's more the entrepreneur, or do you want to be the realtors who are hired? And I really believe, and I think many of you are probably wincing and saying, Greg, you shouldn't even be saying that. Well, I am saying that because I think that's really what's going to happen. So, and again, like I said, there's nothing wrong with taking a salary position, And that's, you'll see why I'm talking about this in a minute and with respect to this listing presentation. But if you want to be an entrepreneur and earn entrepreneurial major league money in the future of real estate, you've got to become a controller of inventory, and that means listings. Now, I'm going to blast through some stuff. I want you to see this because I spent a lot of time writing this out, putting it on slides, word for word, so that you could take it with you and you could digest it, because I am telling you this is what's going to happen. This will involve becoming an expert rainmaker, knowing how to make sellers call. That's why you've got to develop this listing process, so that you can teach others this perfect listing presentation or your own version of it. It's replicable, it's duplicable. A person, quite frankly, an agent who, I'm not going to say isn't that good, that's really not the right way, but someone doesn't have to be like amazing gifted salesperson if they have a super strong, when I say scripted, well-planned presentation. Here's, as you'll see in my 18-part presentation, people who are even brand new in real estate can list property with this. You'll see that. And so the bottom line is, what the people who are going to be the big winners, they're going to be the big rainmakers. That is the future of real estate, learning how to rainmake. And as I said, rainmakers will own the future of real estate. And in the past, the big money has gone. And this is what I was always really good at, both rainmaking and converting. I was the guy, that made the phone ring. I spent years learning how to do that, how to advertise to make the phone ring, and then how to convert, how to go out and convert those calls to listings, how to go out on the appointment and win every time, which is what I'm talking to you about today. But I believe that you need to have that process so nailed down that you can teach. This is the big point before I get started in the 18 points, which I'm going to zip through, that you need to start thinking every day about becoming a major league rainmaker and have this listing process such that you'll do it, you'll list, you'll make money, but that you can teach it to other people. And I'll talk about that in more detail in just a few minutes. So, like I said, the future of real estate, I believe, will be controlled by rainmakers with listing processes so refined and so teachable and so replicable that well-trained, salaried realtors can convert those seller leads to listings virtually every time. And you just need to start, in my view, thinking about whether you want to be on the one side or you want to be on the other side. And that's going to be, by the way, my major focus in my luxury home course. And I mentioned that earlier. If you want to check it out, go to luxuryhomecourse.com. Luxuryhomecourse.com, starting May 11th, is teaching every single person for a lousy $297, even giving them my marketing materials, teaching them how to be a major league rainmaker, not just in luxury homes, anywhere. That, to me, is the key to the future of real estate, and also real estate firms. And I'm just going to tell you what I think. I think the powerhouse real estate firms of the future will be focused on bringing in consumers, not recruiting agents. I know what the deal is out there today. Most all the firms, they provide a platform. I'm not really criticizing it. They provide a platform for agents to come in and do their thing, and everybody does their different thing, and you name all these big firms, and in most every case, the agents can pretty much do their thing. I believe that the big firms of the future, the powerhouse real estate firms of the future, are going to have consumer-focused models, and you can have one of those. See, this, I think right now in real estate, is the big opportunity. This is the opportunity for people who develop a model, you, realtors, agents who develop a model and just start it small, develop a model that sellers can't say no, that makes the phone ring, and then a listing process where you can teach other agents how to do it. You have the opportunity right now on a very small budget to be one of these powerhouse real estate firms. Don't think you can't, because you can. And I'm going to say that again. Don't think you can't, because you can. There isn't one of you listening to this webinar who doesn't have the ability to do just what I'm saying, if you have the inclination to do it and you're willing to bust your butt 12 hours a day like I do, even though, quite frankly, I don't know how to say this tactfully, I don't need the money. This is something I do because I absolutely love it. I love training and teaching, most rewarding thing I've ever done. But the bottom line is here, I want you to have the life that I had. That's why I'm doing this. I want you to have the life that I had, and you can. Okay, so why am I telling you this? Because the perfect listing presentation can help you do more than list homes. Use it as a foundation to customize your own standardized listing presentation based on your own unique consumer-focused home selling program, something that sets you apart. Become a rainmaker. Develop a perfect listing presentation that's teachable so you can build a business that's scalable and that others can implement as effectively as you. That's the thing. It's the art of rainmaking that I want you to be focused on. And I want this 18 points that I'm going to teach you today, something that you think of in first doing it yourself, in first taking more listings, with your major focus, though, on learning how to make the phone ring, learning how every single day, every day at a minimum, to get at least one call from a home seller who wants to talk to you or a member of your team about listing their home. That is where I want your head to be. And I want you to have this process so nailed down, customize it your own way, that you can send people out and they will list what I call every home, every time. Okay, so just in luxury home rainmaking, by the way, I consider that so, and I mentioned this before, so intrinsic to success that that's going to be one of the major focuses. And this is a little promo for my luxury home course. I'm also going to give everybody in it the luxury home marketing materials. I mean, I spent a gazillion dollars on things. They made me a fortune. I'm so intent on having this $297 course be worth thousands. This is like a $5,000 course. I'm so intent on that. I'm just going to give all my best marketing materials, the stuff that did make the phone ring, so everybody in it doesn't have to develop it. And also, and Jen doesn't know this, Brian doesn't know this, I just decided to throw this in last night. I'm going to include an hour of graphic design from my graphic designer, so that if you attend the course, you get my materials, that you can work for 1 hour on my nickel with my graphic designer to get all of your branding built into my marketing materials. I'm going to release the copyright, release the trademarks for just those of you in my course, and then I'm going to pay a graphic designer to have your branding put on these materials. So bang, you can get into business right away in May and start making the phone ring. And by the way, you don't want to do it with luxury homes, you can do it with regular homes. Everything I'm going to teach in the luxury home course applies just as well to regular homes. It just also, I'm going to teach you things that are going to allow you to go out and get those big buck listings as well. So, so there it is. And so that's the point, and that's at, where is it? Oh, by the way, the stuff I'm going to teach you got me a 43% share. I talk a lot about that. 24 months, brand new in the luxury home market, 43% share. It's at luxuryhomecourse.com. And now we're getting it into slide deck. You attend the first session on May, and everything's recorded, by the way, if you can't attend live. You attend the first session, you don't think it's like amazing, your money is fully back refunded. Okay, so the perfect listing presentation, let me show you something in 18 steps, and you don't even have to use them all, but if you do, you'll never lose a listing. You could probably use half of them and never lose a listing. So here we go. First, and some of these are going to be transformational, and some of them are going to be like, yeah, I should be doing that. I know that. I knew that, but I'm just not. So some are going to be reminders of what maybe you're not doing. And then some, I think you're going to say, wow, I never thought of that. So it's going to be a mixture of both. You want to learn about the sellers. I already talked about that. I mean, you're going to pay somebody to research the sellers, research their family, and you also want to know the history of the home. So you want to know the history of the home, the family, their sellers, etc. I mean, and I already talked about Harvey and the McKay 66, the questions you want to ask. So that's step one. You want to be knowledgeable about these sellers personally and the history of the home. Step two, you want to have a personal brochure. You want to have someone deliver your personal brochure before the appointment. Everybody in my luxury home course, it won't end until they have a personal brochure. I'm going to teach them how to have a personal brochure that makes, and this isn't a business brochure, this is a personal brochure that makes luxury home sellers say, wow. The purpose of a personal brochure is to help prospective clients get to know you personally before they meet you. Remember, people do business with people who they like and trust. Right here are the elements of a personal brochure. I put them right in a slide deck for you. This is all right there. You're welcome to the slide deck for free. So there they are. I'm not going to read them right here in this webinar. And just know that you will, along with the video of this webinar, you'll get a copy of the slide deck. And there's the kind of things you want to have in your personal brochure. That should also have a personal mission statement. I thought well, there's a photo of me and my family. Amazing Roseanne. Jason, my nephew on my right, on the right here next to me. Jason is a son to me. He's my sister's son. He's been living in Arizona since he was a kid. We brought him up. He's just one of the sons. And then Casey, to my right there in the black jacket. Casey is with me now in real estate. And by the way, focusing in the luxury home market. Casey, I know you're listening this morning, and I am so, so proud of you. Casey's now 4 months, I think, of actually in, like, licensed 6 months, but actually doing work for 4 months in real estate. And I think he's already closed like 50,000 bucks. I mean, closed. And he's got another 20, 30,000 in escrow. He's going to have a $250,000 first year. And the reason is twofold. Number one, he's got a pretty good coach in his dad. And number two, he is working his butt off, learning at lightning speed. Casey, really proud of you. The light of my life, Roseanne, right there between Casey and Corey. I'll tell you this, the day that I met Roseanne was, well, that was the lucky day in my life. And then next to Roseanne's Corey. Corey is our middle-aged son. And the thing about Corey, I think so highly of him, he's built a major league company. If any of you are need protective playground surfacing, Corey and his partners, and I helped them get started, loaned them a little money 6 years ago, but they've turned it into a multi-million-dollar company. Corey owns Flex Ground. You can look up Flex Ground, and they've become the largest installer of protective. That's that rubberized coating that goes under swing sets. Largest installer of protective playground surfacing in the Southwest U.S. And then my son, Brian, partner in Mavericks, Maverick coach. He is amazing. Jen is here on the line. Brian, I know, is listening. And Brian and Jen are just my total right arms, totally, absolutely kill it. Jen, by the way, who's on, is like a daughter to me. If I had a daughter, Jen would be right in the photo here. I think so highly of her. And that is my family, and that is my mission statement: be a fantastic husband, remarkable father, an unselfish friend who makes many lives better while living my own life big at 100 mile an hour. 100 mile an hour, I just added. Okay, spent too much time on that, sorry. So number 3. So that's the personal brochure, and everybody in the luxury home training, and there's everything you need in it, so you don't need to pay for the luxury home training if you don't want to. But if you are in that, we're going to help all of you develop an amazing personal brochure. Next thing, you want 100 testimonials in your personal brochure. Now, this is social proof. Cialdini's 6 Principles of Persuasion. If you're not familiar with those, you need to go look those up. I have worked those. They've been around since, I don't know, the 30s or 40s, and they're still totally relevant. So these 6 principles of persuasion, you want to definitely look at those. I've incorporated those subtly through all of the things that I do in selling, and you definitely want to have those. And here's the cool thing about it. They can be from anybody you know. They don't have to be from past clients, etc. But you just can't imagine how powerful that is when this person, here's get your arms around this. What's happening is before you even arrive on the listing appointment, someone is going to deliver this personal gift with a handwritten note, your personal brochure with photos of your family and what you're all about, your personal backstory, your mission statement, your personal life mission statement, and it's going to have an insert in it with 100 people saying you're an amazing person. I mean, come on, guys. Isn't that the right way to get a listing started before you even arrive? So number 4, you want to have an inexpensive personal gift, and I talked about that with a handwritten note delivered before. And I use cherry butter, and you'll see in my note, of course, there's the purpose. I want to show you my note here. Have someone else drop it off along with this other stuff. And the magic is to make the gift modest in cost so it doesn't look like you're trying to buy business and relevant to something important to you. And I showed you that shot of Brownwood Farms cherry butter. They've been in business 75 years, Brownwood Farms. When I was a water ski instructor at Walloon Lake, Michigan, growing up, I became super fond of cherry butter. And so Brownwood Farms was making cherry butter way back then. So that's something that I use as my personal gift. I buy it by the case. I think they cost me $3 each. It's personal, and that's the kind of thing you want to do. And then I'll show you the note. So there's the kind of note. I want to help you. I've got this right on a slide. This is the kind of note you would write, only you would do it like yourself. And by the way, just have somebody handwrite the notes for you. It's okay that you do that. My handwriting is so lousy. I just had usually Roseanne or somebody write it for me. But thank you in advance for this is going to the sellers. Bob and Ellen, thank you in advance for the opportunity to see your home and view your home and earn your business. And then the backstory. Growing up, I worked summers as a water ski instructor at Walloon Lake. in northern Michigan. I grew to love cherry butter and even now enjoy it virtually every day, which, by the way, is true. I hope you enjoy this jar from Brownwood Farms. They were producing cherry butter before I was born, which is true. Thank goodness I'm not that old. And so that's an example of the kind of note. Now, I'm going to tell you, you do have this personal delivery done with the gift, the handwritten note, the personal brochure, and the testimonials and endorsements in that. Guys, I mean, you got the listing 50% there before you even arrive. Number 5, prepare comps that talk. All that is, in a nutshell, is I have someone take the comps and actually look and decide, and I did this in the early days myself, based on having not seen the home, but everything you can find out about the home. And today, in today's world, it's so easy because you can go online, you can find the home, when it was for sale, before, etc. Virtually every home out there, you can really get into that home. I mean, mentally, you can see photos of it, and you can get a pretty good read on what it's worth. And so the idea is these comps that talk, they are designed in such a way, and I'll be teaching those in my luxury home course starting May 11th. These comps that talk, they actually lead the seller. Now, you don't have those pre-delivered. You take those with you. Okay, that's not pre-delivered. You want to be there. But them just having those comps, and while you're there, them looking at them leads them to understand what the right list price of their home should be. That's how powerful they are, instead of just having the normal comps where here's homes that have sold and here's homes that are for sale. Number 6, don't arrive on time for the listing appointment. This is something I did for years. It's so fun. And I'll admit I didn't do it every time. Sometimes I got there just on time, tried not to be late. But I did this for a lot of years, and it was so fun. Get there just a few minutes early, stand out in front. Sometimes the sellers will be, you'll see them looking through the window, but you stand out in front, and then either way, whether they came to the window or not, I would call on my cell phone and I would say, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, just want to let you know I got here a few minutes early. I'm standing out in front, so don't worry who that guy is out front since you haven't met me, although they've seen my personal brochure, so they know my photo, etc. And I said, what I'm doing is I'm just spending a few minutes trying to digest the first impression, the curb appeal, the badge of honor. Because you see people just don't buy homes. They buy the curb appeal, the badge of honor, how it looks to their friends, how it looks to people they're having over, and consequently in the neighborhood. So I just wanted to get a few minutes rather than just going to the door and digest that, so I could help you be more intelligent about helping you value your home. People always love that. It took just a few minutes, and it's something that, and by the way, it was totally genuine because I really was doing that. And then I talk about that right here. I just explained that. No other realtors did anything like that. So that's all right in script for you when you get the slide deck. So next, you're in the home. You want to do what I call a meticulosity walkthrough. Now, what's the meticulosity walkthrough? That's where you're taking copious notes. That's the first thing. You are going through the home. Yeah, you slow down the initial home walkthrough. You take copious notes. You ask the sellers detailed questions. The idea here is you want them to see you preparing to sell the home, not just going through and taking a quick look. I saw a video a year and a half, 2 years ago of a real estate trainer, actually a very well-known real estate trainer, and he was actually going in. It was like a mock listing presentation, and he came in the door, knocked on the door, came in, it was being filmed, and he just asked the sellers to have a seat while he walked through the home. No, the meticulosity walkthrough is like, you can have people wanting to list with you by the time you get done with the walkthrough. You want the sellers with you, because what you do is you slow it down, you let them see that you're preparing to sell the home, not just there to interview to list the home, and you find bonds of commonality, plaques and other things around that you have common interest, and you've already researched the seller, so this is going to make it a lot easier. As I say here, it gives you the opportunity to bond with them, see things that you have in common. And one of the things that I did a lot, it was really cool, is when we find the hot water heater, a lot of hot water heaters, particularly years ago, would have a little tag down at the bottom, not up at the top, a little metal thing, and it would show the amperage and the gallonage and a bunch of other stuff. And so I would get down on my knees there with my tablet and write that stuff down and get my knees dirty of my good pants. And that was showmanship. I admit that was a bit of showmanship, but there's nothing wrong with a bit of showmanship. And if a seller ever, any sellers that would hear this, I don't even care, because the fact that I use some showmanship, also you use showmanship in order to get homes sold, a little bit of showmanship, a little bit of pizzazz, and to help sellers get a higher price. So I don't even care that they would know I used a bit of showmanship. Number 8, start your presentation with your personal backstory. This is huge. You're going to have this briefly in your personal brochure, a couple sentences, and you're going to focus on one of two. This is so the right way when you're done with meticulosity walkthrough, so the right way to get started before you start talking about your home selling process and why you're better and how you know the neighborhood better. So the idea here is that you want to use one of these themes. Your backstory is your backstory. It's why the whole idea is, why are you in real estate other than to make a living? So that's the whole thread here. What got you into real estate? That's what this backstory is built around. And then you want to try to take your genuine real backstory, whatever that is, and package it into the reluctant hero theme, the loss and redemption theme, the discovery theme, the curation theme, the underdog theme, the ascension theme, or the revenge theme. And that's not one that I highly recommend, but it is one of the ones that is out there that can be very effective, although I would not want to think that I got into real estate to take revenge on anyone. Number 9, take positions against tradition. I cannot tell you how big this is. This, if I had to say there was any 2 things, because you got to couple this with another thing, or we'll just call it one thing and we'll couple it, that there was any one thing that if I had to throw everything else out, everything I've just told you and everything I'm going to tell you, if there's only one thing I could do to win listings, it would be to take positions against existing tradition. What other realtors are doing, commonly doing, what all the other realtors in the market are doing to sell homes, and how, and this is nothing personal now, it's just business, how that is outdated, it's antiquated, and it's costing home sellers money because realtors aren't following Apple, Tesla, Amazon level sophisticated marketing processes. And it's true. I mean, basically, most realtors are doing the same things that realtors did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And don't think the internet's any big deal. That back then, back years ago, it was print media advertising to find buyers, and now it's the internet. That's no different process. That's just a different medium. So don't think the internet has changed anything in terms of home selling process. It has not. It's just a different medium. So this idea of taking positions against tradition. Example, should, and you can decide yes or no on these, should realtors throw signs in the yard right away? Or should they have a little buildup? Should they not put signs in the yard right away? Should they introduce it to the neighborhood first and before it, let's say, goes public? Which is a better plan for trying to maximize a home seller's price? I mean, does it really matter if a sign goes up the day after you list it or 10 days later after you tried to leverage kind of a private home marketing thing? I mean, I don't think so, but that's up to you. But the bottom line is, what about this? Should realtors put home in MLS right away? I don't think so. You can think whatever you want, but I think that's stupid. I think MLS is a tool. And if MLS didn't track days on the market and didn't track price reductions, I would feel differently. But since it does, since it discloses that information to buyers, I think it needs to be used as a tool, not as like a first thing. Oh gosh, let's get a sign up and get an MLS right away. I don't think so. I think you build anticipation, build excitement, get it out to other realtors. This is not a pocket listing. Get it out to other realtors. And I talk to sellers about that, and they love it. It's a position against tradition. Is it fair that realtors charge sellers the same commission if the seller's best friend learns about the home the next day that the seller listed it, and then the seller refers that best friend over to the realtor? If you're charging, you know, whatever the traditional, we'll call it 6%, is it fair that you should charge 6% in that situation? I don't think so. I love it. I love to charge that, but I don't think so. Now you say, well, Greg, I would give the seller a break. Well, yeah, you probably would, but that should be part of your listing plan. And one of the things you'll see is I recommend you have a 4-part commission plan as part of it. It's a lot more intelligent and makes a lot more sense. You plug in whatever numbers you want. I just think there are different circumstances that truly deserve a different commission, and rather than like one commission fits all. So shouldn't every home first be previewed by neighbors before being offered to the general public? I think it's insane that realtors list homes and don't give the neighbors first shot. Maybe they're interested in the home. Maybe it's a home they've always looked at and thought, wow, this would be great for me. Maybe they have a kid, a grandkid, whatever kids they want to have, grown kids they want to move in the neighborhood. Who knows? The point is, it just, in my view, doesn't make any sense. These are the kinds of things that I talk to sellers about, in terms of after I've gone through my backstory, as I'm getting into my unique home selling process, I talk to them about all the things that other realtors are doing that I think are not up to date with current modern marketing techniques. And I will tell you for a fact, hands down, ask my son. I still go out on listing appointments, by the way. I'm probably one of the only major national trainers that still actually goes out on appointments, but it's a big deal because I learn when I do. Ask Teresa, ask my son, ask Bud, ask Kristen, the people I've got on appointments with. This stuff works. It works because it's true. It works because it's true. Most realtors just don't know to do it. So, and there's another one. Should realtors with 2 years experience charge the same as realtors with 20 years? Well, actually, maybe not. Maybe a realtor with 2 years experience is metamorphically better than a realtor with 20 years. Maybe the realtor with 20 years has been in the business 1 year 20 times, but that's just something that could be a position against tradition, depending on how long you've been in the business. So think about this. Why isn't the #1 focus of real estate firms? Take all the real estate firms around the country. I don't even understand this. I know it certainly isn't my real estate firm. Why is it not constantly their #1 focus, rather than bringing in more agents? What can we do to bring in more agents? To constantly be doing R&D to develop and teach, as I say here, more effective marketing and selling strategies to maximize home sellers' price. Home sellers are the client of the brokerage, as you know, and I know they're your client, but they're also the client of the brokerage. And I think the brokerage has a responsibility to be helping you, doing R&D, so the stuff you probably couldn't afford to do, real R&D on all the techniques that you could use to help maximize home sellers' price. Because as I say here, come on guys, after all, who pays the commission? It's the home seller, the entire commission. So another position against tradition, why don't buyers pay their own agent? I don't know. I mean, why don't they? Would seem fair to me. Okay, so that's number 9. Number 10, position your neighborhood knowledge to demonstrate how you can increase a buyer's perception of value. This is an easy one. I always used to point out to the home owners and demonstrate how much I knew about the neighborhoods I was selling in. When I started in Arizona, it was South Scottsdale. Then later it was McCormick Ranch. Then later it was Paradise Valley. I assure you, nobody back in the early days when it was South Scottsdale, then later when it was McCormick Ranch, then later when it was Paradise Valley, nobody, no realtor knew more about those communities than me. No way. I mean, I don't mean just homes that have sold, homes that are for sale. I mean everything about those communities. And the big thing that you want to point out to sellers, here I'll go back, is that buyers don't just buy a home. Buyers buy a community. Buyers buy a little neighborhood, and that little neighborhood as well. So the idea is, if you're really knowledgeable about all the benefits of a bigger community and the little neighborhood, from the dog walker there, from the babysitters there, from all the things that might resonate with buyers based on whatever the price range and area is, the bottom line is you can actually get buyers to pay more. And I would point that out to sellers, that my knowledge of the neighborhood, and I'd give them some examples. And so you can see how powerful that can be, and it only takes a minute. I mean, bang, you're just through that. Number 11, general market stats to impress sellers with your knowledge. Just go to, I have a webinar, it's on my YouTube channel, Greg Hague YouTube channel, How to Market Numbers. Marketing Numbers brings realtors spectacular ROI. Just sign into that webinar. That's all you need to just go and watch it. And everything you need is there about how to do that. The same thing, compare your numbers to those of your competitors. I talk about that in the webinar. I give an example of a realtor here in this market who did a spectacular job of that. She's not even with me. She's with Remax here. She did a fantastic job, compliment her highly. It's all right there, and it's right on my YouTube channel, and I have made that public. So there you go again, just watch that. Number 13, this is the other thing, the position against tradition, and then having a unique home selling formula, a unique home. See, this is your product. I'm going to say that. How many times can I say that? How are we doing time-wise? We're doing okay. This is your product. I mean, I'm going to say that over and over again. You want to have a product. It's not just about you. Don't make it about you. You can't scale a business if it's just about you. Obviously, you want to come across as being amazing, but you want to have as a centerpiece of listing homes some type of home selling formula that sets you apart, that incorporates the things that you observed in your positions against tradition. You want to have a home selling formula that then takes all the things you pointed out when you started your presentation. After your backstory, you talked about your positions against tradition, and then now you're going to say, look at my home selling formula and how it takes all those things that are not as good as they could and should be in real estate that other realtors are doing, and how it updates them to modern marketing. And wow, is that powerful. I got to tell you guys that has been since day one in real estate. When I first got that was it. I mean, that's what's made me millions, and I mean millions a year in commissions. I don't mean millions over time. I mean millions a year in commissions. That was the centerpiece right there. And I had different home selling formulas over the years, depending on the market and whatever. But the bottom line is, man, they are super powerful. Like my 29-day home launch formula, that's one. Obviously, most of you are aware of my 990 opportunity. That's one. Private home marketing plan, use that in Paradise Valley. I mean, that is like, I'll be teaching this private home marketing plan in my luxury home course. I mean, luxury home sellers are all over that. Ask Casey. Casey has not lost a listing. He's new in the business, and he's not lost a listing because he's got people focusing on his formula more than his newness in the business. Another one that I got started in real estate with was make every agent your listing agent. That's when nobody would list with me because I was brand new in the business. And how do you beat big dog agents? So I thought, what the heck? I have nothing to lose. So I co-broke my entire commission. I started going into sellers and say, hey, tell you what, you list with me and it's like listing with every agent in the market because you pay me 6%. I'll co-broke the whole 6%. The only way I'll make 6% is if I actually find a buyer for your home. It's going to do two big things. Number one, it's going to make every agent, and this is back in Cincinnati when I got started, it's going to make every agent in Cincinnati want to show your home because it's like their own listing. And oh, by the way, I'll even give them permission to advertise it. And it's going to light a fire under me. I can't be what's called a lazy lister where I just sit back and let somebody else do the work because you've signed and I'm going to make 3% on the back end. Bottom line is I listed the next 10 homes in a row. It was killer. You can't lose a listing with that. And I'm not saying you should do that. You don't even need to do that. All this stuff I'm teaching you now, none of you need to do that. But that's like the nuclear weapon. If you want to list a home, nobody can say no. And then you say, oh, by the way, if you're not thrilled, just cancel. So bottom line is it's always been about formulas to me, always about home selling process, private marketing plan, 29-day home launch formula, all that stuff, always about processes. Number 14, you use the selective full co-broke strategy to win listings over big name agents and family and friends. Now, as I'll explain here, I did an audio on that just the other day. You're welcome to a copy of that audio. What you do is you agree to co-broke your entire commission to any agent. This is selective full co-broke that you may lose the listing to. So for example, if you're in competition with a few other big name agents, just say, look, let's take those three. When you list with me, you list with all of us. I will agree to pay my entire, whatever the commission is, list sale side, I'll agree to pay the entire thing to those three agents if they find a buyer. Hey, you know that isn't going to happen. Most of the people you'd be competing against that have big names, they're listers. They probably don't even work with buyers, so the odds of them selling a home is like 0. So what do you care? And the same thing works really well with family members, because to beat out what I call Aunt Minnie, and by all means you want to get my audio, just email jen@realestatemaverics.com, get my audio on that. I just characterize it as Aunt Minnie, you know, a family member. You need to do two things. You need to have a home selling formula that sellers can see logically. They can logically see, like I was explaining before, dramatically increases the probability that you will sell their home for more money. So they realize if they list with Aunt Minnie that it's costing them money. But that's only step one, because they got a problem. They don't want Aunt Minnie to be all ticked off. So step 2 is to have something where they can go to Aunt Minnie and not have her mad. And that's what I call the selective full co-broke, where I would agree to give Aunt Minnie the full, if she finds the buyer, unrepresented, if she finds the buyer, I'll just give her my list commission too, like it's her own listing. So that puts the sellers in a position where they have an escape hatch. They can reach down, I write that language in, go ahead and sign it, and that'll help you tell Aunt Minnie that, number one, you saw my formula, you realized I was a neighborhood expert, you really felt like I was the one that you should do this with, but you want Aunt Minnie to have an opportunity to make the full commission as well. That is a really powerful way to beat family and friends. And as I say, I recorded an audio on that. You can simply email Jen at Real Estate Mavericks. Next, use a multi-part commission plan that comes across more fair and demonstrates that you gave this more thought. For example, like I said, an example, if the sellers find a buyer and you have nothing to do with it, shouldn't your commission be a little lower than if you find a buyer or if it sells co-broke? So that's something I'll be teaching in my luxury home course that we start May 11th, and that is how to use this multi-part commission. I also have an audio on it, which you can have for free, and that's at Janet Real Estate Mavericks for a copy. 16, leave behind my agent disabler questionnaire. Guys, this is so good, it's insane. If you don't get the listing on the first appointment, and you know or suspect that other realtors might be coming in to interview after you, you want to leave this questionnaire. And what it is, it's a list of questions about the neighborhood, the local market, got some questions on negotiation strategy, home marketing strategy, and you're going to recommend, this is a questionnaire, that the sellers, if they're interviewing any other realtors, that they ask these realtors, you're going to know the answer to all these questions, of course, that they ask these realtors these questions, and you're going to point out to the sellers, these questions are all designed to show the sellers that these are the things that a realtor needs to know to maximize the sale price of their home. And I'm going to say that again, that sellers will see the way this is set up, that these are the things any realtor needs to know to maximize the sale price of their home. There's no realtor in the world that knows this stuff. I mean, bottom line. And so there is a way to make sure if you don't get the listing on the first appointment, that the sellers call back and list with you. And by the way, I'll be helping everybody in my luxury home course. And this is a little promo, luxuryhomecourse.com, just 297 bucks. Never done anything like this with me personally involved for that kind of like nothing money. And that starts May 11th, luxuryhomecourse.com. I'll be helping everybody there. I'll be giving them this and we'll be conforming this to their market. It is like you're never going to lose a listing to another agent if you don't get it on the first appointment. And so there it is. That's in my luxury home course. So number 17, you need to give sellers a no downside option if you think it's important to get their signature. If you're not getting it on the first, just what's the no downside option? Hey, if you're not happy with me after 60 days, cancel. Or if you're not happy with me at any time, cancel. I mentioned here Russell Shaw. Many of you in Arizona know Russell Shaw, his no hassle listing. Russell is such a cool guy. I mean, he's got such a crazy good personality. He is an amazing marketer, and his no downside fire me marketing, I'll tell you, some of the best in real estate. You can just Google, for those of you around the country, we have a huge turnout today. Just Google Russell Shaw or his no hassle listing. And that is what real estate marketing, that's a great example of what real estate marketing should be all about. That's giving people kind of a no downside situation in a fun way. And number 18, the nuclear weapon. I already talked about that. Make every agent your listing agent. Hey, guess what, guys? If you go through this and for some reason you don't feel you're going to get this listing, that is a tool right there that, I mean, it's almost impossible for sellers to say no to. So, and there it is. Just use that. And then bonus. This is a couple bonus things before we end the webinar today. If you happen to lose a listing, I mean, stab in the heart. Honestly, stab in the heart if you lose a listing. But if you happen to lose a listing, there's no ethical rule that says you can't stay in touch with the home sellers. This is one of the biggest mistakes realtors make. I didn't even understand that they don't stay. You never would suggest that the people that the agent they have listed with isn't amazing, or that they should list with you or any of that stuff. But just staying in touch. If you can't be first, be second. Listings expire. Agents die. All kinds of stuff happens. Sorry. And so you want to be second in line if that agent doesn't get the job done for these sellers. And a big part of that is just in a nice, warm, and personal way, staying in touch, a little personal gift, a little note, something for the kids because you've done the family research, whatever. I mean, if you can't be first, be second. And there it is. Be sure, oh, by the way, if you don't get the listing, second little thing, if you don't get the listing on the first appointment, and you can do this anyway, I always used to have a thank you note delivered the next morning. Just thank you for taking the time, et cetera, et cetera. And that's just a nice thing to do, to have that hand delivered. And remember, I talked to you about having people do this. So I'm going to finish up, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because I have this all in slides for you. But remember, I talked to you about scaling your business. about having this perfect listing presentation be something that not only helps you go out and list property after property, because you're going to learn how to rainmake. You're going to have the phone ringing. I mean, there's no reason your phone can't ring every day. I know you don't think that's true, but with the number of buy owners and expireds, plus the number of homes that are home sellers every day in every major market who are thinking about selling, the right kind of marketing done in the right ways, you can have your phone ringing virtually every day, certainly in almost any market 3 or 4 times a week. I know you say, oh gosh, Greg, it would be a dream if I had 3 or 4 home sellers calling me every week. You can do that. The idea when that happens is to have a scalable listing presentation like I've just talked to you about, something you can teach other people so they can, you don't even have to go out on listing appointments anymore, and you take them, the way you teach them is take them, and these are what I call my listing partners. And many of my listing partners were brand new in the business. I mean, and I'll tell you some of them, like for example, Chris Karras. Chris Karras, I hired brand newly licensed. I think he's doing 50, 75 million in volume today, and started him as a brand new agent, took him out on appointments as one of my listing partners. And I've got the whole model here. I tell you exactly what they do, what their roles are, what I even paid them, all this stuff. It's all right here in the slide deck for you, so I don't have to run through it now. And it is a way to scale your business, and it's all right here for you for free. You don't even have to be in my luxury home course for that, what it's all about. And they get the buyer calls. This is the whole listing partner model. And this is the big takeaway. The idea with the listing partners, big money. Remember I said that? It's rainmaking. It's rainmaking. So these listing partners, they're not paid a salary. They're paid percentage of the commission. You're fueling and helping them grow their business. They're making you a fortune because they allow you to scale. And that is going to be the #1 priority in my luxury home course starting May 11th. I've given you a lot of the material right here. I just want this webinar to be amazing for you. But that's going to be the #1 priority, teaching you how to rainmake, and then teaching you how to scale, teaching you how to rainmake, and teaching you how to scale, so that you can actually have other people go out and list these homes and do everything for you, and you can build a business. And I know this sounds kind of cliche, but you can build a business that sets you free. So to finish up today, and I mean, I got through, guys, like 140 slides here in what? In like in an hour. So you gotta, if you don't think this is the most content-rich real estate webinar you've ever attended, I'm going to give you my personal email right now. This is the personal one that goes to me. Greg's, not Jen, Greg at realestatemaverics.com. Greg at realestatemaverics.com. You just send me an email and say, nope, you didn't make the bar. It wasn't the most content-rich real estate webinar I've ever seen. That's okay. That'll just get me all wicked up and all ramped up to make next week's even better. So if you don't think this was, you email me and you let me know. If you do think this was, then I'm going to tell you, and I mean this, you are nuts not to sign up. And this is my little promo. Go to luxuryhomecourse.com like right now. luxuryhomecourse.com, $297 starting May 11th. I am going to take you through 4 weeks, and I am going to turn your business around. And by around, I'm going to make your business on steroids. And so this is a little more on the listing partners. This is their duties. This is the, I've got it all right here for you. This is the price reduction element of it, all right here in listing partners, listing partners. Look at how I've written this out for you guys. I have written this out for you guys. And the whole idea is to build a scalable business. And this whole listing partner component right here in our slide deck for you for free. You don't even have to sign up for my luxury home course. So, and there is the whole rest of it, the prep ride. I have to finish with the prep ride. So what was so fun with my listing partners is they would do all this preliminary work. They would drop off the personal brochure, do the research on the sellers, do the comps that talk, do all this stuff. And then I did nothing. And we'd get in the car. I mean, I did my part. My part was making the phone ring, getting the appointment. And then my part was going out with them until I taught them to do it on their own and getting the listing. And then they took it from there. But we'd get in the car. We'd get in the car, maybe even if it was a 10-minute drive to the listing appointment, we'd get in the car half hour early and they'd brief me. It was like, you know, presidential briefing. Not really, but it was so cool. And they were my listing partners, such amazing people, Shane and Chris and Michael and Gary Hughes. I mean, these are amazing people. Gary is now CEO of Sotheby's up in Colorado, and Chris is doing fish. Shane's all of them are just killing it, doing so well. And I'm so proud of them. But that's because I taught them how to do it on their own. Ask them. I taught them how to fish and not depend on me for the fish. And I think that's one of the most impactful things I've ever done. But they would just coach me on the way over. So and what happens is listing partners, they're going to get like a Harvard MBA on how to list homes. So there it is. If you want to learn luxury homes strategy, well, you've already heard this from me. You don't need a big name. You don't need a big budget. You don't need big experience. It's true, you don't. You just simply need a program sellers can't resist. You need to make the phone ring like crazy. You need to go out and kill it on those appointments and then teach other people to do it so you can scale your business. And you offer sellers a no downside alternative. And the bottom line is that's how I got a 43% market share in 24 months, starting with no name recognition at all. Want to know how to do it? Just go to, well, where is it here? It's $297. You get me 75 minutes live. And then you also get all my marketing materials. And as I said earlier, you're going to get those branded to you. I'm going to pay that out of my pocket, release copyright. And you can simply go to luxuryhomecourse.com. Hopefully that thing is not overwhelmed right now. And I will tell you, hands down, this will be the best, hands down, the best $297 you have ever spent in your real estate career for any purpose. Going off a screen share, well, I am like sweating back here, guys. I mean, it's like hot right now. I don't know what the temperature is here in Arizona, but it is heated up over the last hour. Gosh, 10:32. I did this thing in like an hour and 2 minutes. I am going to get in the air conditioning in like 30 seconds here. So I'm going to finish like I always do. I'm going to finish, guys, like I always do. And that is, number one, thank you for attending this webinar today. And as you know, I salute the Maverick in you. Bye-bye.